Ready to take things to a new level? This is Level On Up with Sadia.
Welcome, Tebey. How you going?
I'm going good. How about yourself?
I am just dandy, and thank you for releasing the version of Blinding Lights we didn't know we needed.
Well, you know what? You're not the first one to say that. It's been a crazy couple months, and I kind of feel like we're only getting started with the song, though. You know.
So what made you choose that song? Because when talking to friends, we often refer to it as the COVID song because that was a big part of our lives. And then a couple of years later, you decided to release it.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing happened by accident, if I'm honest. There was never really any plan to release a full-blown version of the song. It kind of came about where I thought it would be a great idea to help grow my social media following if I could take a pop song and do a country cover of it and hopefully bring in some new fans. And this thing has just taken on a life of its own. I mean, everything about this record being up on the streaming platforms and at radio in Australia and all around the world really is all because of the fans and people discovering this on TikTok. I literally just posted a video of me performing it. And 3 days later, we had 12 million views and a whole lot of requests to put the song out. So, yeah, it took me by surprise. It happened completely by accident.
And you've dominated the charts in a few countries. It's had, over 4 million streams on Spotify. It's insane, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. It's just been so grassroots. You know, it's literally people seeing a video on TikTok or Instagram and then going and finding the song on the streaming platforms. And now we're at radio in a bunch of countries as well. And we've been on the viral 50 chart in a bunch of countries around the world. So it's very overwhelming, but it's very exciting. It's gonna allow me to tour around the world, which is the best part about this whole thing.
And it's not the first time you've done it either. You did it with the Avicii's "Wake Me Up."
I did, yeah. That was a little bit more intentional. We actually took that into the studio and properly recorded it. But yeah, that as well. It was a very similar situation. That was almost 10 years ago, and it was very similar in the sense that we tried to keep the bones of the song. Obviously, the melody and the musical hooks are all the same, and with Blinding Lights as well. We just made it country, and for whatever reason, people really are connecting with this record. It works. It just works so well as a country song. It's unbelievable.
What crossed your mind when you took on songs like this? Because it's one thing to cover a song, but it's another to turn it into something completely different.
Well, I mean, anytime you release music, you're putting yourself out there to the world for criticism and praise, of course. The difference with this particular record is that it's gotten so much attention worldwide. I mean, we're at so many views and so many streams. So it kind of opens you up to both sides of the fence. But for the most part, the response has been absolutely incredible. And it's really, really cool. You know, one of my favorite things about this whole experience is having people send me a message on social media saying, and a lot of these messages are going to say the same thing from places that you wouldn't expect people to listen to country music. I'm talking West Africa, India, some places in Europe. And the first thing they say in their message is, I don't like country music, but I like this. So to me, that is it's so awesome because it's hopefully bringing people into the country music genre that normally wouldn't listen to country music. So if I can have be a small part of that, I think that's a huge success.
Well, you're no stranger to both sides of the fence because you've been a songwriter for over a decade too, maybe even close to two. And you've written for some incredible artists and bands. How does one do that? I think you started off at 16, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I'm originally from Canada, but I moved to Nashville when I was 16. Yeah, I knew I wanted to be in the music business. So I've been in this game a very, very long time, and it's really cool to see all of this happening, you know, at my age now. But yeah, it's just been an amazing process, this whole thing. It was really overwhelming in the beginning because I just didn't know what to do with it. You know, so many views all out the gate like that. But you know, writing songs for other people has been a way to make a living for me for many, many years. I kind of wear two different hats, so to speak. And I've been lucky to work with some pretty massive artists, people like One Direction and Flo Rida and Blake Shelton, and have all recorded my songs. So it's really, really cool that I get to be an artist and sing my own music, but also write songs for other people.
Am I correct in saying you've even written for some Australian artists like the Veronicas?
I have, yeah. The Veronicas, there's a girl named Ricky Lee, Delta Goodrum as well, who I've worked with. So yeah, I've actually never been over before. My wife used to live in Byron for a while, so I'm looking forward to getting out there and stopping in Byron when I come out to tour. Hopefully later this year, if not for your summer, which is January, February.
Well, we're going to hold you to that one because
You won't have to. You won't have to. I'm finding a way to come out there. I'm coming for sure.
And you've got your first headline tour in the UK in August as well.
Yeah, we wrapped up the headline tour in Canada in February. Took some time off, recorded some new music. This whole blinding lights thing happened in that time, and now we're heading over to the UK and Germany, and I feel pretty confident that we're going to be down in Australia within the next year. I feel very, very confident saying that.
You're a very busy man because obviously you're a songwriter, you release your own music as well. Then you've got the family. How do you juggle that work-life balance?
Man, it's hard. It's hard. The hardest thing is touring. That's the hardest thing, is being away from my family. And for many years, I toured a little bit more than I do now. My kids I started to realize that I was missing a lot of my kids growing up, and I didn't like that. So I've kind of pulled it back a little bit, but and I like to bring them out on the road. We were just over in Europe, and they've come out on the road in Canada before many times. They love you guys don't have tour buses over there, I don't think, but our tour buses over here, they have like really cool like bunks in them, and my kids love it because it's like a bunk bed inside of a bus. So yeah, they love coming on the road.
And they're obviously very proud of Dad. I saw a video that you got them up on stage. That would have been an incredible feeling to have them up there with you.
Yeah, I know for sure. That was in Mexico. We had a show in Mexico earlier this year, and I brought them up on stage for the first time. So that was really special. I can't believe I've never done that. In all the shows that I've played, I've never had my kids up on stage. But typically, I'm just their dad. They kind of really don't care, to be honest with you. They just every time they come out to a show, they just want to know where all the snacks are in the dressing room. That's all they care about. They want some chocolate bars or something.
I mean, that is the downside of being a musician and a parent. You do hear that quite often. The kids don't care, and in fact, they more often than not say, "Can you just be quiet?"
Yeah, no, for sure. But that's good though. It keeps you humble. I mean, I'm a dad first before anything, right? So it's cool. My kids look at me that way, and they don't really look at me as an artist or famous or anything like that. I mean, every once in a while they'll see something on TikTok. They're like, "Dad, you came on." I was scrolling on Instagram and like you popped up and. So every once in a while that happens, but other than that, they couldn't care less.
And it must be an incredible feeling when you're out and about, whether it's touring or with the family, and hearing your songs in venues, whether it's something you've written or something you've written and performed yourself.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll be out at a sporting match somewhere, and one of my songs will come on. So that's always cool. And we've had some songs on some pretty big television shows, like Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that. So. Yeah, it's always cool when one of my songs gets used for the film or television, or if I'm somewhere and the kids hear my song. We were in a mall one time and the song came on. We were shopping like in the Zara or something. So yeah, that's cool. Cool little moments.
And the process of writing songs for somebody else versus yourself, what is that? What's the difference between that? I'm assuming when you're writing for yourself, it's more personal.
You know what? Not really. I always just, no matter what I sit down to write, I just want to write the best song possible. A lot of times when I'm writing a song, I may not even know if it's going to be for me or for someone else. I just try to do justice to the song and take it where it needs to go. But for the most part, yeah, I just try to write the best song I can. And I believe that the song will find the right home. And typically it usually does.
And sometimes that home could take 5 years, 10 years before it gets released. It's quite insane, isn't it?
It is. I had one song that was a song called "Who's Gonna Love You" that was a #1 for me over here, and that song sat on a shelf for 5 years. It just it's one of those things. When you write a lot of songs, you kind of forget about songs as well. So that one, I wasn't in between albums. I think I just finished working on a record at the time, and I just put it up on a shelf and kind of forgot about it. And my producer pulled it back off, 5 years later. It was like, we need to record this one. So that happens every once in a while. Yeah, every once in a while, a song get kind of lost in the archives.
I'd be interested to know how many songs you've got hidden in the archives.
Good ones or just songs in general?
Look, I'm sure they're all good. They've got to start from somewhere, even if they're only at,
Yeah, I've got quite a few, probably several thousand, easily. I mean, it's been many years of writing songs, and every once in a while I'll just go back and make sure I'm not missing anything, because sometimes you never know. You may not be in the best mood that day, and you may not hear a song a certain way, and then you listen to it a couple years later or months later, and it hits you differently. So I just try to write them and pray that they'll find the best home possible at some point.
Have you ever thought about covering one of the songs that you've written or co-written as a country version?
That's a great question. I haven't, but I have now. maybe I will. That's a really good. I've never been asked that before. That's a great question. I've never thought about that. Maybe I'll pull out one of the One Direction songs. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. I think you have a very interesting and incredible career, and to not only write your own songs and release those, but write for other people and then take on things like The Weeknd's Blinding Lights. And I see that there was even a little bit of a sample of a Drake song that you released in the last couple of days as well.
Yeah, that one again. Like, it looks like it's about to happen again with this whole viral thing. I don't know what it is with me and these country covers, but I feel like I've accidentally stumbled upon my niche in the market after all these years. With these taking these pop songs and turning them country. But yeah, people are loving it. So I'm just gonna keep giving it to them as long as they want to listen, and we'll sprinkle in a few originals here and there as well.
Well, I'm glad that you're going to keep the originals because you are an incredible songwriter and singer. Do you worry with the world of AI? Because I noticed a lot of comments. You perfectly lip sunk The Weeknd to your version and with Drake, and there was a lot of comments on it being AI. As a musician, does that worry you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, very much so. I mean, there's a lot of conversation here in Nashville as well about AI and what it's going to do to the music business. And I feel like we're in a bit of a renaissance right now, and it's very similar to what happened with streaming. We were at a point where we had never seen that before, really. It was something really new, and we had to figure out as an industry how to navigate that. And I feel that that's kind of happening right before our eyes right now with AI. I mean, there's a very, very famous country artist named Randy Travis, traditional country artist from back in the 80s, who just released a new single, and his record company, Warner Brothers, released it with his permission, but it was AI using his voice. So he didn't even sing it. So it's starting to getting to that point, it's getting a little bit scary.
Well, I hope that it doesn't destroy the music industry, because with such talented individuals as yourself out there, it's good to see you kicking goals. How much has the music industry changed since you first started? Quite dramatically, I would expect.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, streaming has changed everything. Streaming has changed the way people are able to access music, and then obviously social media. You don't necessarily need a record deal to become successful and to build your fan base, and I think that's where things have changed a lot as well. Where you can reach so many people simply through their phone, whereas before you would need millions and millions of dollars of marketing money from a record company to break a song or break a new artist, where literally it can be done. You can do it on your own. And we're kind of doing that as well. I mean, this whole thing has just come from social media and people hearing the song and wanting to download it or stream it. So yeah, the business is changing right before our eyes. But at the end of the day, you can never substitute great music and great songwriting. So I keep that in the back of my mind. And I just try to do the best I can.
And that's a bit of an advantage too, because you get to release the music you want to release and connect with the fans the way you want to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm in control of my own destiny. I get to talk to the fans every single day, right through my phone, right to their phone. And again, touring is a big part of it as well, because, there's a lot of places in the world that may not have country radio or access to country music. And it's been great to reach people through social media and then be able to hop on a plane with my band and go play some songs for them. It's really, really cool. And it's going to happen in Australia. It's been on my list of places to go for many years now in my career, but we just never had the right record to kind of break into that market. And this is the one that's doing it. We're already top 20 after only like 2 weeks or something. It's absolutely crazy.
And the other thing I love about you is you are a self-proclaimed music lover. You're not stuck in any pigeonhole of any genre. You listen to everything. Do you think that's had a huge influence on your songwriting? And
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I grew up listening to all different kinds of music. I probably have one of the most eclectic tastes in music of anybody. A great song is a great song to me, whether it's Nirvana or Boyz II Men or George Strait. It doesn't really matter to me. And I think that people as well these days, because music is so accessible, that people's taste in music is growing as well, where they're not just listening to one genre of music or three or four, a handful of bands or an artist. And I don't like being put in a box. I love it all. And at the end of the day, it's like I make music for myself. I really do. And I just want to write great songs and experiment with melodies that I've pulled from other genres of music that I love. But so far, so good.
And the other thing I loved, you said how people say that they normally wouldn't listen to country music. I think you would agree with this. They would be surprised how much music they listen to is influenced by country music or is a country music song, because it's just expanded so much over the years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think country music for the longest time had a stigma attached to it, which I can understand for sure. But you look at artists like Taylor Swift and Morgan Wallen now recently, who just blown the doors off of everything. I mean, they brought so many more fans. I mean, when you're Morgan Wallen and you're heading to Sweden and you're headlining arenas, I mean, that's pretty impressive. You've broken down those walls and those ceilings, and if I can have a small part of it, and I think I am, just bringing a lot of people into the genre that hopefully will discover more great country music.
Have you yourself been over to Sweden, because they've got some of the world's best producers and acts? Have you had a chance to experience that?
I have, yeah. My Swedish is actually pretty good. I've been going there since I was 25 years old. So yeah, like 15 years about. And I learned very early on in my career that a lot of American pop hits were being written and recorded in Sweden. By this guy named Max Martin, who's one of the greatest songwriters and producers of all time. And so I've spent a lot of time in Sweden, and I've watched their country music industry grow as well, which is fantastic.
Well, look, if you ever come across Roxette or decide to do a Roxette cover, like country version, let me know.
Hey, I'll put it on the list. You never know. I'm digging back in like the 80s and 90s. So yeah, you never know.
Because they're doing their world tour next year, so that should be exciting.
Amazing. I love it when artists kind of take some time off, even if it's like a decade, and then they come back and they discover that their fan base is still there and that people still love the music. Because at the end of the day, great songs are timeless. All right. We call them evergreens. And I just try to write and record music that hopefully will be here in 10, 15, 20 years.
So what's next for Tebey?
Hopefully coming to Australia on tour. I know we've talked about it, and it's in the works right now. So we're gonna dive right in. I feel like, if I'm honest with you, I feel like this country version of Blinding Lights has really helped me jump the queue a little bit, so to speak, over there, and really get to the fans quickly. Even though I've put in a lot of hard work behind the scenes for many years over here, but with this particular record, it's kind of helped me move a little bit quicker and open some doors pretty fast. So I'm looking forward to coming over there and doing some touring.
Will you be doing any golf tours while you're there? I do believe you don't mind playing a bit of golf.
I love golf and I love English football as well. So, you know what? I need to get into some rugby, though. That's one sport that I've never been able to really get into. And I know you guys have a ton of it over there. So we got Aussie Rules and we got the other one as well. So I feel pretty confident I'll take in a match and see if I can get going into some rugby.
And we might even have to get you some more caps, because I see that you're a big fan of those. It's very rare to see you without one of those.
Yeah, right. Right. Sometimes I'll take it off. I like my hats. I have so many. I probably have like 400 lids. It's insane.
So it's your version of the shoe collection.
Yeah, some people collect shoes. I collect hats. I need to do. That's a great idea. I'm gonna do like an Instagram post now about how many hats that I have, because it's a lot. I should put them all. Like, you ever seen that thing where they put like jelly beans in like a glass jar and you have to count how many jelly beans are in the jar? Maybe I should find some kind of massive jar and put all these hats in them and see if people can guess how many I got.
Well, thank you so much for having a chat, and thank you again for releasing that version of Blinding Lights. Huge fan, and it's, if nothing else, it's made me go back and check out the rest of your catalogue, your original songs as well, and yeah, it's incredible. So thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you for playing it. I really appreciate it.